Welcome to Truth and Company Boxing Podcast for another segment of 20 random questions. I'm your host, John the Truth Dioria, and today's guest is Minnesota owned professional MMA fighter Ozzy Judge. How you doing, Ozzy?
Very good, thank you.
I appreciate taking time to come on the show.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
So, first off, where do you train out of in Minnesota?
Well, I've been at a few places. I started out at American Top Team in Savage, was there for about 10 years. And then I kind of stayed busy working out in the basement gym. It's just kind of a group of us that all get together and train every so often. And then the last couple of years I've been at the Striking Institute. And that was really good for me. I got my striking and my Muay Thai kickboxing, really took it to a different level. But right now, currently I'm training at Burnsville Martial Arts. My two sons are there, and they're training to maybe have their first MMA fight this fall.
Nice.
So yeah, I've been there working out with them and having a lot of fun.
Yeah, because I thought I saw somewhere that your sons were wrestlers, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So they all wrestled through elementary school, and four of them wrestled through high school. One of them wrestled in college.
So now you just recently had a fight, right?
Yeah, correct. Yep. February 17th.
And how'd that go?
I lost the decision, but it was a pretty good fight. It was a good step up for me at this point, and it was against somebody that I've known that's been around for 20 years. It was a tough one to pass up because been seeing his name for all those years, and there was a couple times where I could have fought him when they were looking for fights short notice and stuff. So I'm glad I got to fight him, and it was a good scrap. I mean, I'm a fighter, so I always think, well, if I would have done this one thing different, I would have won, but
So right now you're just training. Is there anything lined up for the summer yet? Any talks about a fight coming up?
Not a little bit. Ignite reached out and said that they could probably find me someone, coming up in the next couple months or few months, which I really appreciate. I like fighting for Ignite, here at home. It's super fun with the local crowd and everything. And then I had someone reach out to me that said there's a potential matchup for me in a bigger show, a national show. I'm not quite ready to spill the beans, but
okay,
might be really exciting. So there's a couple things, and then, I'm always looking for opportunities, especially at my age, if they're looking for someone to match up with, their local guy that's my age, I'd gladly travel too.
Okay. So now I got to ask you something before we start these random 20 questions. Now, for a Minnesota guy, for a guy that's not a world champion, for a guy that's not undefeated, you got a huge fan base. And I mean, there's people that literally call you a legend in this sport. How do you have such loyal fans? And I mean, how does that make you feel that you're such a big deal?
Well, I don't think I'm a big deal, but I mean, it's really flattering. And, I've worked construction for most of my life, almost 30 years. So I met a lot of people through that, and, doing concrete work. And when you work in some of those circumstances, it's 100 degrees out, the concrete's going faster than you can keep up. And you need to, work as a team to get it done, or you're going to end up jackhammering it out. You probably all get fired. I mean, you build some pretty good bonds working in that type of situation for, decades.
But I mean, it's got to be nice to have the respect that you have in Minnesota from the fans. I mean, because like I said, I mean, you're not undefeated, but I mean, you come to fight. That's obvious. You're, like you said, you're a fighter. You put on good shows. And I think that's probably where you get a lot of the respect from the fans, because win or lose, you give them their money's worth, and you get a good fight. And like I said yesterday, somebody referred to you on a post that I made they called you the OG legend.
Well, that's pretty flattering. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of reciprocal because when the fans get excited and if I'm on the bad end of the fight and then I turn it around and the crowd pops and that makes me kind of want to fight harder and then when I fight harder they want to cheer louder, so it's pretty reciprocal, you know.
Okay. Well, listen, are you ready for these random 20 questions?
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Okay, question 1. Now, I don't want to talk about your combat sports experience yet. Question 1 is this: tell me about your background and your upbringing a little bit, so some of the fans that aren't familiar with you know where you came from and like your siblings and how you grew up and things like that.
Okay, well, I grew up mostly in Bloomington and South Minneapolis. My dad is worked in concrete for over 40 years. Super tough guy. Well, construction worker, so he liked to drink a lot and stuff and fight. And, it wasn't out of the ordinary for Saturday morning for, him to come out of the back bedroom and he'd have a black eye or his hand was broke or, so. And then my grandfather, when I was about 7 years old, taught me how to throw a really nice 1-2. And my grandfather was the son of Irish immigrants. They were super poor. They actually grew up in 2 train boxcars. He had 12 siblings. And he went to World War II, came back, started a concrete company. And at its height, he had about 600 employees.
Wow.
So long family history of just really hardworking, chase the dream sort of people. And yeah, I think I'm.
Do you have siblings?
Yes, I got 2 brothers and a sister. My brother, he's about 14 months younger than me. We're almost Irish twins. And he was like my sidekick growing up. Every bad idea I ever had, he was always right there. We had a lot of fun growing up, Yeah. And
All
then
right.
my sister is just about a year younger than him. We have our baby brother, I call him. He's about 7 years younger than me and maybe 4 or 5 years younger than my sister. There's a little gap in there.
So now, how is your family with you being an MMA fighter? Is everybody pretty supportive of that?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, my dad loved it, of course. And then well, my mom came to one of my fights. I've had 39 fights now and my mom's only come to one. And she'll never come again.
All right, well listen, question 2, how did you get involved in the combat sports?
Well, like I said, I come from a family that, it's not out of the ordinary to have a fist fight on a Friday night in the summer, or you know what I mean? That kind of old school working class. So I grew up just, kind of scrapping in school and scrapping in the alley and, whatever. My dad bought us boxing gloves, me and my brother. We must have been 9 or 10 or somewhere in there. 2 pairs of boxing gloves. And so our friends and whoever would come over and we'd just have our matches and whatever, wherever it ended up being, inside the house, outside the house, in the garage. And then when I was about 13, I saw the UFC for the first time and I was completely hooked, and it just was like magic for me. I never seen anything so cool in my life and I just wanted to do it. And that's kind of how I got started in it, I would say.
Okay, but now did you what all areas are you that you train in? Because I know you're in jiu-jitsu, right?
Correct.
And,
yep.
and then were you a wrestler in high school like your kids are?
Nope, I didn't start wrestling until I was about in my early 20s when I got to a gym, and there was a lot of really good wrestlers there, and I was one of the only ones in our fight group that didn't wrestle. And so I got good quick, sink or swim.
Okay, now what about now you were talking that your grandfather taught you to throw 1-2. Any boxing experience or anything like that?
I started off doing some of the tough man contests. So I had about 6 fights doing the tough man, it's like 3 1-minute rounds, pretty much swing for the fences.
Okay.
So
And
yeah.
then so you've done jiu-jitsu, you've done wrestling, not too much boxing, just some tough man competitions. And then what other areas do you train in?
Muay Thai. I've had 4 professional Muay Thai fights now, and I don't know, 6 or 8 amateur fights. So yeah, I like Muay Thai. That's what I've been doing predominantly the last couple years. I had 1 MMA fight last year, and then the rest have been Muay Thai fights.
So now, do you just train to fight, or do you actually coach as well?
I used to a little bit. I used to coach quite a bit. But right now I'm just kind of, I only got a little bit of time left to fight, so I'm just going to focus on myself and have a few more good fights, and then after that I'll probably get back more into coaching and kind of sharing some of the stuff I've learned over the years.
Okay, now, so you just talked about that you fell in love when you first saw the UFC. So I guess how did that all go about though? Did you just walk into a studio one day and decide to start jiu-jitsu, or how did that come about that you started the training?
Well, the first thing that happened is, well, my brother and I, we would watch the UFCs, and then we would try the moves on each other to try and figure it out. And then we would kind of wrestle and have jiu-jitsu matches with our friends. And then I joined the Army when I was 17, and I went to basic training and AIT. I was there in South Carolina for almost 6 months for my basic training and my job training. And I met a few people there that did jiu-jitsu. And so we would, on our free time, just have jiu-jitsu matches or try moves on each other. We didn't really drill moves per se, like like they do now, but we'd kind of share what we knew with each other and then have matches. And so, I kind of got some there. And then fast forward a few years, I heard a radio ad for the Tough Man on my way to work one morning. And I called them, and they sent me the papers and everything to sign up for the fight. And, back then they had to mail you the paper, and then you had to fill it out, mail it back, and you had to give them a $50 deposit to make sure you would show up. So I sent them a check too. And then I trained. My buddy had boxed in Texas as a teenager. And so, I was like, hey, can you help me work out for this? And he did. And yeah, it was pretty fun.
And so now, how many years have you been training in all these different areas?
Well, I took about 8-9 years off in between, but I mean, I started training, I would say about 2005, like training. Before that, I was just kind of messing around and thought I was training, but I wasn't really. But 2005, I kind of pretty much started training. And then, so I mean, I don't know. I had my first fight in 2005, so we're looking at almost 19 years.
Okay. Wow.
I took time off in between there. I would still kind of train a little here and there, or I would take my kids and I would maybe train a little bit with them, kind of showing them this or that. But I did have a little bit of a break in there.
Okay. All right. Question 3: do you have any hobbies outside the sport of MMA?
Yeah, I like to watch birds.
Okay, you're a bird watcher.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Nice.
I got a lot of big wooded backyard, and I have bird feeders and bird houses all over, wood duck houses. Yeah.
Nice. I bet you the fans didn't know that. All right, question 4: what advice do you give a kid that wants to fight in the cage?
Well, first my advice would be make sure that that's really what you want to do. Because if it's not, it's going to be terrible for you. If you really truly want to do it and you're really willing to prepare and pay the price to be able to do that, then go 100%, train hard, find good coaches who really care about you and care about your well-being, and don't ever do it for the money. Ever.
Okay. All right, question 5. Do you have any fighting superstitions?
Yeah, I guess I do. I never wear, well, 2 times in my career, and like I said, 39 fights, 2 times I wore the same fight shorts and I lost both times. So I never wear the same shorts twice when I fight. And same thing with walkout song. 2 times I used the same walkout song, and it was different than the shorts times. And I lost those fights, so I never walk out to the same song twice.
Okay.
And I mean, I don't know if it's a superstition, but I always take like a 20, 30-minute nap before I fight.
And what happens? Have you ever done it without taking the nap?
Not in a long time.
Did you lose?
The last time I can remember, yes, I did. And it was super late, about at like midnight or 12:30 or something like that.
Okay. All right, question 6. Do you have a pre-fight meal that you always have to eat before your fight?
Not necessarily, no. I don't really think I have anything that I eat the same every time.
Okay. Question 7. What is something that your MMA fans don't know about you? Besides the fact that you're a bird watcher.
Gosh. That's a tough one. I should have prepared for that one. I don't know. Can we come back to it?
Yeah, I mean, it can be anything. It can be something simple too. But yeah, we can come back. We can come back to it if you want.
Maybe that some people I don't know. I used to go to a lot of concerts, and like I don't know. Let's come back to it.
Okay. All right, question 8. What is the craziest or the funniest story that ever happened between you and an MMA fan?
And a fan?
Yeah.
Well, the craziest thing that ever happened to me, I think, is that one time after a fight, a guy tried to get me to go somewhere with his wife.
And how much was he going to pay you for that?
I didn't ask. I just said thank you. But I'm super happily married.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
All right, question 9. Who has been your favorite opponent so far in your career?
Man, I would have to say back early in my career, I fought a super tough guy, a wrestler from Rochester, Dan Mosseth. And he was kind of on a tear. He had beat quite a few pretty good guys. And he just fought super hard. I mean, he fought as hard as he could from bell to bell. And we had a really good 3-round fight. He broke my nose in the second round, and I hit him. I mean, I hit him so hard with so much, and he just kept coming. And I won by decision, but we were both. I mean, it was a hell of a scrap. So I'd have to say my favorite fight.
Okay. Question 10. If you could win a trophy or an award in something other than MMA, what would it be?
I don't know. Probably like Dad of the Year or something like that.
Okay.
So that would be it.
All right. Question 11. Who are some of the musical artists that you listen to when you train?
I'm kind of all over the place. I'll go anything from like Poison, AC/DC, Pantera to like 90s hip hop, you know. I like Eazy-E, Ice Cube, and then some of the new stuff I'll listen to. I like Metro Boomin, like Lil Uzi Vert, Drip. My son's friend is a musician, Drip. I listen to him a lot. So yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of a place.
All right, question 12. If you got into a street fight with three guys, what two MMA fighters would you choose to be on your side to fight with?
Oh, I'd probably have to stick with two of my buddies. I'd have to take Ashkan Morvari and the Bear Robbie Gattro.
Okay. All right, question 13. Why do you fight?
That's a good question. I think it's kind of a reason for me to stay in shape. You know, a lot of people my age have a tough time staying in shape. So that's one reason, and it's kind of there's very few things that I've ever gotten the satisfaction out of like I do from fighting. The thrill of the challenge, and you know, bettering myself and just kind of seeing my progress even at my age. After my fights, I'm like, oh, I did something that I usually don't do, or you know, stuff like that. So that's pretty cool.
Okay. Question 14. Who was the hardest puncher you've ever faced in the cage, in a fight, or sparring?
That's a good one. That's a tough one because once you get, you know, say somebody punches like 8 out of 10, well, they all feel the same after that. You don't really feel them. You're just like, oh, I got hit super hard. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that, you know, I would say my buddy Ashkan, you know, me and him have had a couple knockdown, drag out sparring sessions where we both crawled to our cars with a headache after, you know. So he's hit me the most 8 out of 10. I know that for sure.
Okay. All right, question 15. Would you ever do a cage dive with the sharks?
With sharks? Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of the water.
Okay.
I feel good about anything on land, but I know I don't have a chance with anything in the water. So no, I don't even scuba, or not scuba, but snorkel. I don't even like to snorkel.
Okay. All right, question 16. What animal best fits your personality?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I don't know. My sister used to call me a baboon when I was younger, so maybe that.
Okay. All right, question 17. Can you tell me an interesting story so far out of your MMA career? Anything?
Man, there's been quite a few. I don't know. I mean, I fought in Japan once. That was pretty interesting.
And how did that go? How was that whole experience?
It was really cool. Yeah, we had a translator, we had a chauffeur. They took us around, and the fans were amazing. I fought in front of probably 15,000 people or so, and I lost the fight. But after the show, you know, the fighters would come out backstage, and me and the two other Americans that were on the show, we kind of went out on our own. You know, I think it was, you had to go like talk to the person to get paid, and then after that you went out this back door, and our car was out there, and we walked out the back door, and there had to be 500 people out there waiting for us, and they all like clapped and cheered for us. It was pretty amazing.
So did you guys sit there and take pictures and sign autographs and stuff then, or
Yeah.
what?
Yep. Just kind of walked through the crowd and shook hands and all that, and yeah, it was something else. It was pretty cool.
Nice. That sounds like a pretty good time.
Yeah, I'd like to try and get back there one more time.
All right, question 18. How has MMA affected your life in a positive manner and in a negative manner?
Um, I think it's done way more positive than negative. Um, I got in trouble a couple times when I was younger, and like, so I think it really helped give me something to do that I could focus on, and kind of helped me. It was a really good outlet for me. Negatively, I can't really think of anything negative besides maybe a couple scars on my face, but doesn't bother me none.
Okay. All right, question 19. What's something that you're very passionate about besides MMA?
Probably the biggest thing is I like to help mentor people. Like if it's younger people, just need someone to help guide them in life, or if it's someone that wants to learn martial arts or something like that. Or like working on the job sites, I would always like to mentor like the apprentices and stuff, and kind of I think it's really important to do that. It's
Okay, so then when you finally do decide to retire, do you think you'll stay on as a coach then?
Yeah, probably, yep. And like I said, my two sons are getting pretty close to having their first fight, and of course I'm going to have to be around for that. So
Okay. All right, question 20. Actually, let's go back to the other question. And question 7, what is something that your fans don't know about you, your MMA fans?
I don't know. I think a lot of them probably don't know that I had most of my kids when I was a teenager. How about that?
Okay. All right, question 20, last question. If you died tomorrow, what would you want your fans, your friends, and your family to say about
um, well, I guess I would just like them to say that I was exciting and that I always did the best that I could, leave it in the ring, and that hopefully that when they saw me fight, that had a little bit of that magic to it. And we all know what that is. Like fight fans and fighters. There's a little bit of magic to a good fight and to a good fighter, and um, so that, and then I, yeah, I guess I'd be proud to know that I was a good father and a good husband, and that I would try to go out of my way to be nice to people.
you? Okay. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking time to come on and do the 20 random questions. I hope they weren't too bad for you. If you got anything to say to your MMA fans or give any shout outs to the sponsors, go ahead.
I just like to give a shout out to all the Liuna members, Local 563, the laborers. Great, hardworking group of people. I appreciate all the support that they've given me over the years. And then all the people that come and watch me, I can't say how much I appreciate it. It really means a lot to me, and it's very flattering that you would spend a lot of, tickets are expensive, so I get it. That's a lot of money to spend to come support me, and I really, really appreciate it.
All right. And with that, the truth has spoken. Hold on.
Mhm.